Okay, quick disclaimer before we get started. I am a bit sick and under the weather as I've got a cold, so I apologise in advance for the sound of my voice. I think someone needs to take me to the works. How's it going, everyone? Cinder here, coming at you with a bonus video this week. Today I thought I'd count down my favourite soundtracks in the classic series of Thomas, as composed by the absolute madmen Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell. Before I get into this list, I need to make a quick disclaimer. There won't be any character themes on this list. Now hold your horses, folks. I love the character themes as much as all of you, but I honestly couldn't choose between them and the rest. So, in order to appease the masses, I'm going to do my favourite character themes in a separate video. Just putting that out there, before I get flooded with a million comments asking where Gordon or Donald and Douglas's themes are. Now then, Mike and Junior were musical geniuses, and every piece of music that they created for Thomas was a masterpiece. Every tune perfectly fit the tone of the scenes they were featured in, and really helped to set the mood. Just like the character themes, some of these would get new iterations when a new season rolled around. Sometimes each piece of music would have multiple variants per season, which I think was just wonderful. Also, this is a top 11 video because I couldn't pin down only 10, but hey, that just means we get to talk about more Thomas music. Be sure to let me know what your favourite pieces of music are in the comments down below, and without further ado, here are my favourite soundtracks in the classic series of Thomas. Number 11. The Lost Engine. This little piece was only featured in one episode if I recall correctly, and it comes from what I consider to be the saddest episode of the show, Grandpuff. Everyone remembers the tragic tale of when Duke was left in a shed and buried alive for decades, only to be rescued years later. This little score perfectly sums up the sad situation that Duke has been placed in. It somehow manages to be both somber and heartfelt. If there is any soundtrack in the entire Thomas library that could bring you to tears, it's this one. Number 10. The Breakdown Train. This one sticks out from the first two seasons to me, especially in Season 1. Season 1 was almost always so light-hearted and whimsical, but every now and then you'd be presented with a serious situation, and this intense theme really pulled you in and made you pay attention to what was going on. What's astonishing to me about this one is the fact that it had so many variations throughout the first season. You've got the slower variant that symbolises Edward and Gordon struggling up the hill. You've got the faster version that plays when Thomas races off to rescue James. There are a few different versions that play out during the rescue operations too. But the best one is the OG that plays out when James is lifted back onto the tracks. It's so daunting, and in a way very nail-biting. This was the most serious situation that we'd seen at the time the episode came out, and in some ways it actually scared me a little as a kid. I feel you, Thomas. I feel ya. What's really awesome about this one is the fact that Mike and Junior wrote the percussion to be the crane cranking, which is an awesome bit of attention to detail. Definitely one of the series' best. Number 9. The Big Station. The first soundtrack to ever be used in an episode. After the narrator introduces us to Thomas, we get this wonderful piece combined with scenes showing us the busy and bustling life at the big station. This really cements the idea that we visited a busy industry and that work is life here. Something else that I also love about it is the fact this piece, along with many others, is written to have the sounds of engines puffing along. It really highlights the fact that we are in an age where steam is in its heyday. A heyday I'm sure we all wish we could have witnessed firsthand. At least with this piece of music, we can come that tiny bit closer to living out our fantasy. Number 8. Toby and the Flood. I know it sounds weird to simply name an episode for this list, but the soundtrack for this episode is one long set piece. The Unlucky Tug has already done a video on this one, and I highly recommend that you check it out if you haven't. And if you have, go watch it again, because it's awesome. Anyway, Season 5 was the first wholly original season in the show. While Seasons 3 and 4 did have some original stories, this was the first one to have no Railway series stories adapted, and as such, they decided to go full-on cinematic mode with this season. I actually still have the complete season on a VHS called Spooks and Surprises, and watching it for the first time was a hell of an experience. And the score from this episode really cemented that. Despite the episode being unrealistic, the music makes sure that you take all of the dilemmas presented seriously when they happen. The build-ups and the slowing in paces are all perfectly timed. I gotta tell you, my eyes were glued to the screen when I first watched this episode, and Mike and Junior's beautiful craftsmanship certainly played a big part in that. Number 7. Duncan Gets Spooked, or The Old Iron Bridge. Another one from Season 5 that just grabs you and doesn't let you go. In my opinion, and I'm sure many others, the 3 spookiest episodes of the show are Ghost Train, Haunted Henry, and Duncan Gets Spooked. All are scary in their own ways, and the music in all of them is fantastic. But what this one does better than all the other scary set pieces is the fact that it adds such a layer of mystery to the scene. This episode is another one that the Unlucky Tug has already done an episode on, so I apologise if I sound like I'm parodying him. We all know the story of this episode. Duncan is told the story of an engine who failed to cross a high bridge and plunged over the side into the swamps below. After it drowns, its ghost now supposedly haunts the bridge. Since it is never confirmed if the story is true or not, we are left uncertain as to whether or not it really happened, since we actually saw the engine's death. And of course, when we see the fireflies, we aren't given a proper explanation as to what that is. We don't know if Duncan is just seeing things, or if it's the spirit of the ghost engine. And that's where this soundtrack comes in. It helps to click our brains and make us wonder as to what we are really looking at. Furthermore, it's incredibly unsettling. We hear it build up as Duncan leaves the slate quarry, and right there we know that something is about to go down. And the fact that it doesn't pick up the pace just leaves you aching in anticipation as to what's coming next. It's another masterpiece, and it wholeheartedly deserves a spot on this list. Number 6. The Storm Theme. Not to be confused with the Storm Theme from Season 5, or the stormy variant of Edward's Season 2 theme. This one was only used twice, once in Season 3 and once in Season 4 respectively. This one always stuck out to me as a kid, especially in the episode it debuted in, Percy's Promise. It also featured in Gallant Old Engine. This is perhaps the most daunting theme in the show. As Percy and Rhaenyra are fighting their way through the storm, the build-up really makes you feel like these engines are fighting an uphill battle that they can't seem to win. It slows down and pauses in the middle, where it appears that both have been defeated. But as we see, they are merely getting their second wind. The second half then begins to pick up, and continuously builds up in pace as our heroes are close to victory, despite being on their last legs. It really makes you root for these two little chads. I've had this score in my head for the longest time, and now I know why. It's a marvellous piece that expertly portrays an engine overcoming all odds put against them. Number 5. The Skarloey Railway. Some might say I'm cheating here, but this theme is really tied to the Skarloey Railway itself, rather than just Skarloey himself, although I can't deny that it does suit him really well. The SKR is one of the most diverse locations on the island of Sodor, ranging from high mountainsides to lush forests and open countryside. As a country bumpkin myself, this beautiful little piece really makes me feel right at home. This tune cements what it feels like for me when I go out on a long country walk. While it is energetic, it is also somehow relaxing at the same time. Mike and Junior, I don't know how you did it, but you somehow managed to make a piece of music that is both uplifting and mellowing. You absolute legends. Number 4. The Ghost Train. This is probably my favourite one of the spooky episodes. While it technically isn't the best, it is worthy of praise for many reasons, the music being one of them. The original story from the book wasn't scary at all. In fact, we never actually saw a ghost engine in the first place, but they decided to go full out when making this into an episode. This hands down has the best intro scene of any episode in the series. And those violins at the start always freaked me the hell out as a kid. I dare you to go for a walk at night with this thing playing in your ears. The way it builds up with those ghostly puffing sounds also makes it seem like something is approaching you, and you've got no way of avoiding it. So many Thomas creators on YouTube use this in their videos, and it's easy to see why. I am so happy that the story was adapted in the way it was, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't have gotten this timeless masterpiece. Number 3. The Watermill theme. Strangely, this theme was only used in Season 2. It's not all that long, but it managed to leave a lasting impression on me, as I consider it to be the most relaxing piece of music in the show. I don't know what it is about this theme, but hearing it always puts me at ease. Also, the winter variant is so simple but effective. It's amazing that the simple inclusion of a tambourine can shift the tone of something to make it feel like a different season. For such an underused theme, it's hard to forget. Number 2. The intro theme. Of course this theme is on the list. I mean, it would be criminal of me not to include it. Everyone knows this theme. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are or if you've never seen the show. It's so iconic that anyone and everyone can recognize it. This is another one of those that has those iconic chuffing sounds, which instantly tells you that this is a show about trains. I was actually gobsmacked when I found out that Mike and Junior tried to change it for later seasons. I am really happy that Britt and David put their foot down and said, "No!" A stellar piece of music, and I have no doubt that the show would not be as popular without it. Here are a few quick honourable mentions. This scene from Henry's tunnel. For some reason, this always creeped me out as a kid, and has always stuck out to me because of that. The viaduct theme. Another busy one with awesome chuffing sounds, further cementing that we are in an industrial steam-driven world. The sad or lamenting theme from Trucks. Another one that will pull on your heartstrings. And the score from Thomas and the Trucks. Another one that spans across a whole episode. You really get the idea that Thomas is enjoying himself on one of his first proper journeys, until it all goes tits up. And my number 1 is the Runaway Theme. There have been many pieces of music that have grabbed my attention, but this one was not only the first one to do it, but also the best at doing it. There's no beating around the bush. This thing is nail-bitingly tense from start to finish. As someone who is a big fan of action films and crazy action sequences, the runaways in the show were always my favourite scenes as a kid. The music lets you know that this is a situation you have to take seriously. You know that if that train crashes, someone is going to have a bad time. Every version of this theme is amazing. The version in Season 5 fits the cinematic tone they were going for. Even the version that was remade for The Adventure Begins hits the nail right on the head. But the best versions to me will always be the Season 2 and 1 variants. I especially love the variant from Dirty Objects, where the build-up is so quick and sharp. Some of the best moments in the show are the runaways, like James or Duck's runaways in Season 2. Combined with nail-biting action pieces, the panicked narration and the strenuous music playing, you can't not pay attention to what is happening right in front of you. While I do love every theme that Mike and Junior created for the show, the Runaway theme will undoubtedly remain my favourite until the end of time. So that's it for my list, folks. I hope you all enjoyed it, and please feel free to let me know what your favourite soundtracks are from the show. As always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and make sure to click Toby's bell to stay notified for when I upload new content. Now until next time, I've been Cinders and Ashes UK, you've been awesome, and until next time, have an awesome day.